We know the media and the left wing, they hate Trump. Literally, the abusive, biased media in this country, they always rush to judgment. They're wrong so often, it's scary. Consumed with rage, hatred of all things Trump. This has now evolved into a pathological, borderline psychotic derangement and perpetual victimhood. For them, facts come second. Breathless hysteria always comes first. Remember, in the immediate aftermath of the report, everyone, from celebrities, politicians, members of the media, they, as usual, rushed right to judgment. Look at the 2020 candidates. Kamala Harris, Spartacus Booker, took to Twitter comparing the attack to a modern-day lynching. In a now deleted tweet, Speaker Pelosi called it, quote, an affront to our humanity. And the Hollywood left was just as fast to jump to these conclusions. Actress Ellen Page used the Smollett saga to attack Vice President Pence, and she wasn't the only one. Of course, Meathead director Rob Reiner accusing the president of injecting homophobia into America's bloodstream. So when will the unhinged left realize they're the ones that are perpetuating hate and division, rushing to judgment every time, and fueling hysteria, fake news over and over? And remember, all of this comes right on the heels of the BuzzFeed fiasco, the Covington Catholic students being smeared in just seconds, and the attacks on Justice Kavanaugh, not true. When are they going to look in the mirror? When are they going to realize the face of hate isn't wearing a red hat? What's wrong with Make America Great Again? You think we'd all agree on that? But don't expect them to change anytime soon. Look at, for example, fake news, CNN's Humpty Dumpty, Stelter. Well, we're all blowing this way out of proportion because, according to him, the media actually covered the story right. No, they got it wrong, Humpty. And, of course, per usual, he's just flat out wrong. And take a look at these headlines. BuzzFeed. Celebrities rally behind Jussie Smollett after brutal attack in Chicago. Vanity Fair's headline asserted that Smollett was attacked by, quote, 2 MAGA supporters. CNN's April Ryan tweeting that it was a hate crime. Oh, guilty by accusation again. And the list goes on and on. This is the problem when you write the story first and try to plug in facts later. The good news is this malfeasance is now being exposed pretty much on a daily basis. The bad news journalism in the country, I've said journalism is dead and buried. We've got a lot of ground to cover. Joining us first is Fox News contributor Dan Bongino, nationally syndicated Salem radio host Larry Elder. Larry, I was tipped off almost from the get-go by friends of mine in Chicago. Said, I'm telling you, just wait. They're looking out for my best interest. Now, I wait anyway, and I know you wait, and I know Dan waits. But the rush here, so predictable. Larry.
Well, Sean, first of all, let's give Jussie Smollett an Emmy. he deserves an Emmy, just like Al Sharpton did when he pushed the Tawana Brawley fraud. Look, the reason people believed it is because they wanted to believe it. They believe Donald Trump is a racist, and they believe racism remains a major problem in America. And you put those two together, voila, the story had legs. It was a complete crock, and the reason it's a complete crock is because it never happened. Question is, why did so many people believe it? And the answer is they despise Donald Trump. Donald Trump is a racist. Donald Trump's supporters are racist. And Donald Trump's supporters are not only racist, they're also homophobic. And they're also people that engage in violence. So they wanted to believe it and ran with it, and now they're embarrassed. Isn't it good news? This is not true. Isn't it good news? We don't live in a country where if you walk to the street at 2 o'clock in the morning to get a sandwich, you have to be fearful that because you don't like Trump, you're going to be attacked. Isn't this good news? Instead of people being relieved, they're angry at people that are laughing at Jussie Smollett. Why don't we celebrate the fact that racism is no longer a huge problem in America anymore? It is a lie.
But you know, it's fascinating because the people that were most disproportionately negatively impacted, Dan Bongino, by Obama's horrific, predictable policies were Hispanic Americans, African Americans. The people that have been disproportionately affected in a great and positive way, setting record after record, are African Americans, Hispanic Americans, Asian Americans, women in the workplace, youth unemployment. Conservatism works in spite of the constant lies about what conservatism is about.
Yeah, I mean, Sean, conservatives stand for things that ultimately benefit the minority community. The ridiculous minimum wage, which keeps some people who haven't accumulated enough skills yet out of the workforce. School choice, which gives a lot of minority parents and struggling parents an option to educate their kids. Policing in neighborhoods like this, and that's the point I want to make on this. Sean, real damage was done here. Let's not forget this. The police assets dedicated to this in a city which, regretfully so, with a very high crime rate, the police assets dedicated this for over a week now to investigate what appears to be, by all reports, now a hoax. Can you imagine the murders and the crimes and the muggings and the burglaries that could potentially go unsolved because of all the police assets and PR assets dedicated to this?
What should happen if it all turns out to be a hoax here? What should happen to this guy? You're right. All the police resources, all the division accusations. What happens?
Oh, he needs to go to jail, Sean. There has to be an example set here.
Yeah, Larry?
Sean, he should clearly be prosecuted for filing a false police report. But also, let's talk about what he said. He accused 2 white people of committing an act of violence. That is a hate crime. He also should be charged with a hate crime. Why shouldn't he be charged with endangering anybody who wears a mega cap? Anybody who wore a mega cap after this incident had to look over his shoulder or her shoulder for fear that maybe somebody might do an act of retribution because of what allegedly happened to Jussie Smollett. So the man should be charged not only with filing a false police report, but also should be filed with making a hate crime.
All right, guys, thank you both.